everybody. My name's Jim Desmond. I'm the founder of Liberia Chimpanzee Rescue and Protection. I'm honored to be here with you today, and I'm really excited to share some of my experiences about finding optimism through action. Also joining us is our little friend, Mary Beauty. She's our youngest rescue at LCRP, and we'll talk a little bit more later about why she's here. In 2015, my husband Jimmy and I came to Liberia. We were asked to come to help rescue a group of chimpanzees who had spent decades being used for invasive research. When these chimps were no longer useful, the company that had experimented on them had left them behind. When we arrived, we were met with a gruesome scene. 66 chimpanzees left on islands, literally starving to death. We'd come to find out this was only part of a much bigger problem. Within a month of arriving in Liberia, we were told of 2 other chimpanzees, orphan babies, needing rescue from horrible conditions. An expat working in Liberia had heard about our experience with great apes, and she came to us hoping we could help. These chimps were victims of a rampant illegal wildlife trade, out of control in Liberia and also devastating to the country's wild populations. Adult chimps were killed to be eaten, and the babies were stolen and sold as pets. We took in the 2 chimps, called Sweet Pea and Gwe, without really knowing what we would do and how we would do it. And we knew there were more. Adult chimpanzees were being killed by the hundreds, leaving their orphan babies to be chained in backyards or left on the street. In the wild, chimpanzee infants are never out of their mother's reach until they're 5. We knew these chimps would need intensive care and a home for their entire lives. On a micro level, without help, these orphans would be destined for a life of abuse and neglect. On a macro level, the rampant trade in chimpanzees needed to be stopped. Our path was clear, even though we knew that path wouldn't be easy. We knew we had to stay. Within a year of being here, we had 15 more chimpanzees living with us in our home, all of them under the age of 3, and all with tragic histories. They arrived to us with broken limbs, wounds. Many of them refused to eat or even be touched. They were small and weak, and their eyes showed deep, deep sadness. They had lost hope. All these 15 chimps were only a fraction of the population being created by this illegal wildlife trade. The magnitude of the problem facing us was overwhelming. The pain I felt was unbearable. The tremendous turmoil within and around me was crushing. What do we do when we're faced with great chaos and countless obstacles? It's so easy to give in to our feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. I really asked myself, how could I face this level of suffering and loss? Was I prepared to help these traumatized chimpanzees through their recovery? What could I do to turn this around? These are pivotal moments when we're at risk of losing our optimism and hope. In times of great turmoil, in sadness, in loss or change, it's nearly impossible not to get pulled down, to feel fear, to lose our hope. Even the most optimistic of us find ourselves at the mercy of situations that seem beyond our control. How do we meet immense challenges in life without losing hope, without losing our optimism? How do we keep from giving up on doing good? I find my optimism through action. Taking an action, no matter how small, is a powerful strategy to meet adversity and turmoil head on. We can turn our fears and traumas into positive change. Choosing action empowers us. Choosing action means choosing optimism. In my world, where I'm faced with pain and chaos on a regular basis, it's critical to find a place of optimism. Only in taking action am I able to overcome the unrest and tragedy I'm met with every day. In offering love and nurturing to these orphans who come into my care, I get to experience their miraculous transformations. They choose not only to survive, but to thrive. In dedicating myself to fighting for their protection in the wild, I get to watch a passion for conservation blossom in Liberia's rangers. Things like seeing the sanctuary come to life, taking the chimps to the forest for the first time, and the overwhelming love and support we received from all around the world. Now, these are truly reasons for optimism. The second you take an action toward change, small or large, you have immediately changed the status of that situation. It is that simple. The moment you decide to make that action a positive one, you immediately begin the path to progress, to recovery, to expansion or advancement. The second that action results in positive change, you've already made an impact that betters the world. And action brings optimism. I can change things. I can make things better. I can do good. I can make a difference. Each and every one of us can find optimism through even small or simple actions. Most of us heard about the people in Italy who took to the rooftops and balconies and sang and played instruments during the first lockdown in the UK. This small action started by a few brought optimism to so many. And around the world, people felt this optimism in the face of tragedy. As they got older, my nieces, 12 and 16, started to see some of the sadness and abuses in our world. And they felt scared and helpless. I knew and I still know how devastating and debilitating this can be. But each in her own way decided to take an action. Diana wrote a letter to a zoo about a young chimpanzee being exploited. Lee spoke to her legislature about LGBTQ rights. I immediately saw the optimism in their eyes and hearts. And not surprisingly, it wasn't the last action they took. I can't wait to hear their TED Talks one day. Where has all this action and optimism brought me? Well, over the past 5 years, Jimmy and I have made Liberia our home. We founded LCRP, our new housing, now housing over 60 chimpanzees who will receive lifetime love and care and live in a forest habitat for their lifetimes. Our wonderful team has grown to over 30 individuals, offering not only employment, but creating a lovely community for them, for us, and for the chimps. We've been able to collaborate with organizations around the world to bring awareness to the issues facing chimpanzees and help expose the international illegal wildlife trade. It's given us a global platform where we can build partnerships, share our voices and mission, and spread our passion for animal rights. It's shown me that optimism lives in each and every one of us, and that it's always within our grasp. And that taking action can help us conquer great challenges and achieve amazing things. I imagine most of you are facing many overwhelming challenges as we speak in this very moment. I urge you, today, do something just a little bit different when you're faced with an injustice, or when you're faced with a wrong, or when you see someone who needs help. So the next time you're faced with a situation that feels too overwhelming to tackle, take your action and find your optimism.